All right. Good morning or afternoon, everyone, depending on when you get our podcast. It's like comes out at midnight, but we have people all over the world. So, if you're in Australia, might be listening to this midday. So today we have Mike Giovanni on here with Get Networks, and he and I are doing a talk next week. But this is really Mike's brainchild. So I want to learn from Mike. Say hi and tell us, a little bit about your MSP as well as what made you think you wanted to do a talk at IT Nation Connect this year.
Sure, Adam. Thanks. So the brainchild of this whole endeavor comes from just years of working in the MSP space. I started my company back in 1988, break fix like most of us. And oddly enough, one of my sidelines there was repairing musical equipment. And my claim to fame there was I repaired an amplifier for the Beach Boys
Nice.
when they were on tour. But moving on to that, one of the things that I learned when I was in the military was the value of, preventive maintenance, but also of risk assessment, understanding what you needed to do to keep things running. And so that has been a real foundation piece for me. And then moving forward, I spent a lot of time educating, of all things, Boy Scout leaders. And one of the things that we really focused on was using SWOT sessions, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, to really understand the dynamics of what is effectively a boy-led organization and making sure that things stayed on the rails, because as we know, teenagers can really cause some headaches if you let them. So using SWOT sessions in youth organizations.
All my gray hairs here.
Yeah. So I found that using SWOT sessions really applied to my clients because it helped me understand what their pain points were. It helped me understand how I could use my knowledge, my background, to improve the likelihood that they would succeed in their goals. And SWOT sessions are great for understanding what your goals are and how you're going to achieve them, because you look at barriers, you look at obstacles, and you turn them into opportunities. And so that was the brainchild of this talk. Why did I want to do it here at IT Nation Connect? Because it's a great opportunity to help my fellow MSPs serve their clients better. And I think there are enough really, let's just say, world-class MSPs out there that are doing the right thing. But there are equally a lot more that are kind of bumping their way along, trying to figure out how this all works. And if I can use anything that I've learned over the years to help those who were where I was get better at what they do, then I have used the gifts that I've been given the right way. I'm not holding them for myself. I'm giving them out. So that's really the purpose and the desire to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way when you said you're doing a talk and like, hey, do you want to come talk to? I'm like, sure. Adam Walter never shuts up, so I can fill in time. And I love SWOT exercises. And it's, I may not even just say SWOT. I might walk into a room and I'm mentally tracking my questions by boxing them up into what you're saying.
Yeah.
And, I love the story about like the Boy Scouts and using this to kind of wrangle teenagers and how to do assessments. And, you've got to like help people know where their boundaries are. So, teenagers are very good at, they want to know more about life, but are they going in the right direction? I talk a lot about, if people talk about bad things just happen to me all the time. Like, well, are you putting energy into your life going in the right direction? Have you thought about where do you want to be in a couple of years? Are you putting energy into that? Or are you letting kind of fate, the winds take you to wherever they will? Like are you an opportunist where you're just like, oh, there's an opportunity, I will take it. So a SWOT exercise helps you like wrap around like which opportunities should I chase, as well as what strengths do I have so I can put energy into that and avoid my weaknesses.
Yeah.
These little exercises, there's lots of books out there like Strengths Finder, how to take advantage of your strengths, how to work on your weaknesses, all these self-help books. There's a billion out there. But in the end, you have to sit down and do an exercise to figure out what it is
they are
that is driving your business, driving yourself, driving your opportunities. And what is that? And how do you decide what that risk profile looks like of like, ooh, I need to avoid that risk because that's going to hurt.
Yeah. And here's one of the dangers, though. So SWOT exercises can be good. They can also be bad. If all you focus on are the weaknesses and the threats, and you don't spend time building up the strengths and really, putting the opportunities or bringing them into the light, then you've missed the plot. You've really missed the plot, because especially with clients and companies, they don't want to hear all the bad. They want to hear the good. They want to be able to see, hey, we're moving in the right direction. We've done some good things. We're not just pure crap. So so you really have to emphasize, start with the strengths and really build on those. And that helps them accept the fact that along with strengths, you're going to have some weaknesses. Now, the key there is to take those weaknesses and immediately spin them around. How can we create that weakness into an opportunity for internal growth? Because the weaknesses are generally inside. Those are the things that you're looking at. What are we not doing as well as we could be doing?
Yes.
And how can we make that shift into doing it better? So in my organization, we live by the motto of better every day. We strive to be better every day. If we made a process yesterday, we constantly want to grow. And the only way to do that is through constantly looking at where are we stumbling and how can we improve that. And so when you're doing a SWOT session with a client, you really have to be able to spin those weaknesses into ways that they can improve those areas. Maybe it's they need to hire a new person that has those skills, or maybe it's some on-the-job training for a weaker person. It helps bring that into the light. The threats, that's the external forces. And those are the things that you can use some of those, but maybe it's technology solutions, maybe it's guidance. Maybe they're doing something that could get them in hot water down the road, and giving them some guidance on, some policies and procedures that can get them out of that particular tailspin, bring them back into, maybe it's a weakness now. So there's ways that you can move things, move that needle, just by having the conversation and just by bringing those things out into the open. So that's really where it's at. That's what the whole point of this discussion is going to be. And from our conversation, and we're going to have fun with this, Adam. We're going to be riffing on, the classic SWOT in the moment at IT Nation Connect. And what better way to do that than let's SWOT the event.
Yes. Just to show you, like, SWOTs can be provided to anything. Like, so you talk about how, doing a SWOT to find your weaknesses and how can I do those better? I even say, how do you identify your weakness and avoid them? So at Humanize IT, we get asked questions like, how do I track Microsoft licenses? Like, we don't do that. Is that something we should be doing? And so as an MSP, you can say, we are weak at firewall design. Like, that's something you should be doing. But you're also weak at boarding dogs. You have no capacity for that. Should you? And so is that really a weakness? It is a weakness, but it's a deliberate one.
Right.
And identifying where this is not what we do. I do not board dogs. We are an MSP. Or as an MSP, you can say, we don't do security services. We partner with somebody to do that.
Right.
And they're really good at it. And we're really good at ops. And it makes a great product for our clients. So, deferring risk is something that, or transferring risk is something that a SWOT exercise will help you do. And then while we're at the event, we can talk about what does ConnectWise do really well? What are they not really good at from an event perspective? And, that kind of feedback is really important. Like, they are really bad at, not providing alcohol. Okay. Like, if I'm an AA person at a ConnectWise event, it's a long week, but on the other hand, like, they're really good at making sure snacks are out, making sure alcohol's available at the right times, making sure drinks and there's fun stuff to do. They're really good at that stuff. They're not going to be an AA meeting. But what else could they work on? But you can apply this to everything. So, like, how you're raising your kids. What am I really good at? What am I weak at?
Sure.
What are my opportunities for growth? If I'm going to go out camping as a Boy Scout, I love camping. I am out in the wilderness now. People say I don't really camp because I have a fifth wheel. Like, screw you. I slept on the ground enough. I deserve this now.
In the middle of that thunderstorm, you can laugh while they're swimming.
Yeah. It rained on us 3 inches the last time I went camping, and I gotta tell you, I really liked my camper that day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that's a weakness that could say, hey, you know what? When I'm out camping, I really am tired of sleeping on the ground. I really want a comfortable bed. I'm going to get a fifth wheel. And then, I'm fixing that. What is allowing me to go out and fish or hike or see the outdoors more? And that's a comfortable bed to come to when I get back.
Sure.
And here in the Midwest, it gets stupid hot in the summers too. So I really hate being out in the 110-degree heat all afternoon and then coming back and sleeping in a 90-degree tent.
Yeah.
And even then, if you sleep in the open air, now I'm dealing with mosquitoes. So what are the weaknesses there? How can I mitigate them? I mitigate them with a camper. And that's just it. Like the SWOT exercise is so versatile.
It is.
You can apply it to everything from how you do your employee evaluations, how you determine which kinds of clients do I want in my MSP. Where can I grow my employees? Just add a context and start a SWOT.
Right. And what I find is that, I think every MSP should at the very least do an annual, if not quarterly SWOT, because it helps keep them in alignment, not only with
their MSP.
On their MSP. Yeah. But it can be used to say, how are we doing as an assessment? How are we doing supporting our clients? What do we need to do to improve to be world-class? What do we need to do to just move that needle in a positive direction that is going to result in raving fans amongst our client base and drop churn? Because that's another thing that really kills MSPs is churn. You may have the greatest...
Churn kills us all. I'm a software company. It kills us too.
You may have the greatest service delivery. You may have the greatest stack of technology. You may have all of the pieces in place. But if you forgot to recognize that the person who you talk to most at that organization is having a bad day and say, hey, how can I help you today? What can I do for you? And really recognize, I learned a long time ago, and it came back when I was in the Coast Guard. One of my supervisors on the Coast Guard cutter Chase said, Mike, here's the most important thing that you need to understand as a technician. If you haven't fixed the person, you haven't fixed the problem. And I can say that SWOT exercises really help you dial in on the people. It really helps you understand the dynamics of the organization that you're working with, whether it's your own or whether it's a client. And when you can have those conversations and really get to the meat and potatoes of what are they going through? Where do they want to be? What are their goals? The SWOT assessment can really help you focus on how to get them there. I like to use the simple fact that, hey, we want to help you grow your business. Our corporate mission is to ensure our clients' success through the effective application of technology solutions. But the real truth is, a lot of times, it has nothing to do with technology. It has everything to do with conversations about how do we help you get to your business goals. Sometimes, technology plays a part. But sometimes it's just the 30 plus years of business experience that I have working with so many different companies that I can say, hey, you know what? I've seen that in the past and it worked. I've seen that in the past. It didn't work so well, but you may be able to do it better if you focus on X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And so that's, again, the SWOT session has the ability to do that. It really has the ability to open up doors.
That's that business part, right? Of when we talk about, we turn IT people into business managers. And that business part's the hardest part. Your client knows their business really well, but they also need permission to talk about their business. They're just like you. You just said you should be doing a quarterly assessment of your MSP. I'm willing to bet 90% of them don't do that.
I would say, yeah.
And it's not that you don't want to. It's a time thing. You're constantly working on your MSP or working in your MSP. Working on it means like asking those questions. Your client needs that too. And you in that moment can become a business analyst by simply asking those questions and using that framework. And then you can help derive risk portfolios so the client can understand, here's what we're doing really well. Here's what we're not doing well. But there's an opportunity there to hit that market. Now, you're not saying this, you're not coming up with the ideas, but you're adding flavor to it with your experience, your unique values. So in Mike's instance, 30 years of being in business, what does that bring to the table? Like, well, in the 90s when we went through this, in the 2000s when we went through this, here's how we solved it. How does that apply to you? And they'll be like, well, and then let them extrapolate a working solution out of that. You don't have to be the expert. You're just a flavor text.
Yeah, and this is the thing, when we talk about SWOT exercises and doing it as a led meeting, so you're the ringleader. The whole point of this is that you, the MSP, are the ringleader of the meeting. Your job is just to ask leading questions and then get the hell out of the way.
Yeah,
and let them talk. And so you have to
Get
know
out
how,
of the way.
You have to know how to STUF.
That's why I say you're running the meeting. You got the marker. Your job is to listen and write this stuff down. The reason you're writing things down is to get you to be quiet.
It really is. Yeah. So, we have the capacity of doing. I'm a great engineer. Okay, you can give me the nastiest, gnarliest network problem on the face of the planet, and I'm going to solve it. But it took me a long time. I am a horrible introvert. I don't like talking to people. I really don't. Getting to that place where I could have a conversation with somebody and not feel that overwhelming imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. It took.
They're going to find out that I don't know, that I'm a charlatan.
It's taken decades to get to the place where I can say, "Shut up, just go away," and be able to use the knowledge that I've gained over the years to really help my clients. And that's really what it is. And it's what I know, that MSPs, by and large, our primary goal is to help our MSPs, or rather our clients, and really help them grow. Because we've got clients, our organization, we have clients that we've had for over 30 years. We started the business in 1988. I can tell two specific attorneys. We've had them for over 30 years because way back in the early days, we resurrected their Novell server from a complete dead stick state. And back then, it would take 2 to 3 days just to format a drive to load the Novell operating system. Yeah. We had them back up and running in 36 hours. I didn't sleep for 36 hours, but I had them back up and running. And they have been rabid fans ever since. And that's just how we do business. You have to focus on what are your strengths, build on your weaknesses, improve them, recognize what is an opportunity. How do you determine what is an opportunity? Well, the customer may not really understand that. They may not see that until you say, "Hey, you guys are really good at this, and it's kind of like that. Why aren't you doing that? What would it look like if you were to do that? And how can we help you get to do that?" Which will, diversify your market a little bit, potentially bring in an additional customer base, more revenue. If you can work to gain revenue for your clients, what does that mean? That they're going to have a larger budget to work with you.
Yeah. And I think we had that somewhere, oh yeah, it was one of our shorts that we posted to YouTube and LinkedIn a little while ago, was like, how are you helping your client drive revenue that's going to pay your bills? Yep. Right? Your client maybe are a dog kennel. How are you helping them drive revenue so they increase their revenue so they give you more revenue? And that should be that is going to be part of our talk on Friday at 4, is that as a CIO, CISO, you have to think in terms of profit.
Yeah.
And as an MSP, you got to shift that mindset, not just a profit of the MSP, but the profit of your clients. How is what you're doing reducing risk to their profit margins or increasing their profit margins? And I think a lot of engineers get this messed up in their heads and think like, no, my job is to reduce risk on technology and to reduce risk profiles on exploits. Like, no. If you are thinking in those terms, you're a good security engineer, you're a good ops engineer. They care about the technology and where it's going. A CISO or a CIO care about the company and where it's going. using technology. So CISO, or in a corporate world, a CRO, Chief Risk Officer, is looking across all of the finance of the company, all of the working units, and saying, where are our risks at? From back injuries to financial risk to debt load to IT risk. You're just a small piece of that puzzle in the corporate environment.
Right.
So they need somebody to be able to think, how is this affecting the finance? So a CISO or a CIO needs to say, in the terms of technology, how are we generating profit or saving money for this company? And you as an MSP, that's your job. As if you call yourself a CIO, it's not to streamline business processes. It's not to go in and do that stuff. That is what a business analyst does. Your job as a CIO or a CISO is to look at the risk profile affecting the client's profit margins.
Right. Ideally, as an MSP, one of our goals should be to turn IT into a profit center. And when you look at that, is looking at what are the impacts that technology is having to a business and being able to speak into that. So maybe it's life cycle management. One of the biggest challenges that we see is, people want to hold on to old equipment, because it doesn't cost them anything to their thought. But when they really turn that around and see that, and this is a great one for, SWOT exercises, how long does it take for you to do this particular process based on the fact that you have older equipment? Well, let me show you that if you replace this 5 or 6 year old desktop with a new desktop, that you've just recovered 40 to 50% of your employees' productivity. And in that productivity gain, you can pay off that piece of hardware in realistically a month or two.
Yeah.
And having that type of a business conversation and being able to show them that there's a benefit to having a life cycle management plan for not just their PCs, but also their mobile devices, their servers, their switches, their firewalls, but have them recognize that all of these things go hand in hand with overall security, productivity, functionality, maybe opening up some capabilities that they didn't have before. And so having the knowledge and then being able to communicate it with the client, and not about just say, hey, I want to sell you stuff. I want to show you how it's going to impact your business.
Yep.
I want to show you how it's going to improve your revenue. It's going to improve your productivity. It's going to reduce your risk. A simple one. And I just had this conversation in a TBR yesterday. When you consider that 85 to 90% of all cyber risk starts inside the organization, and of that, only a small portion of it is malicious in intent. Most of that is because of ignorance. Most of it is because of a lack of knowledge. So if you introduce a very basic cybersecurity awareness training platform, which is going to cost less than a cup of coffee per month per user, okay? So you're not going out and throwing that Dunkin' or Starbucks gift card every month on them. You're giving them a tool that is going to help them reduce your overall business risk.
Yes.
What is that worth to you? If you can cut that 85% number down to 35%, 50% risk reduction simply by giving each person the equivalent of a cup of coffee a month.
Yep. I think you hit upon the correct phrase there, and we need to wrap up here. Is that it's a great way to stop this conversation? Is that you need to put it like, let me back up my thoughts here. You need to talk to your client about this business risk. So know what Mike said there. He didn't say to reduce your cybersecurity risk score, you need to do cybersecurity awareness because it applies to whatever compliance program. No, he said to reduce the risk to your business. It's going to cost you as much of a cup of coffee every month, and you're going to reduce your risk, especially over the holiday season, by 50%. That is worth it to you. One of these exploits can put you out of business. So over the next, if you're a retail shop over Christmas, do you want to spend your Christmas time cleaning up a breach, Well, the chances of that happening, let's say it's a 35% chance of that happening per transaction, or for, whatever you want to talk about. Somebody coming in and stealing all of your inventory or starting to intercept all of your payments. Or in fact, just stopping your ability to use your credit card payment software. What if we could reduce that overnight? Talking about the business risk there, not the cybersecurity risk, but the business risk.
Yep.
And that is how Mike is presenting this, is that now you're talking about the same solution. We're talking about it in a different context. And a SWOT will help you get there. Like, if you want to reduce that risk, here's what we have to do. Well, you've been telling us to do that for years. Yes, but now you understand why. And it's a disconnect. It's just you're talking two different languages. When we talk about life cycle management, you guys are all talking about warranties. You should be using the word depreciation. That is what your client understands. Warranties are something you buy on your car that constantly track you down. So I love this topic. I love talking about CISO and CIO because I feel like in the MSP world, there's such a disconnect into what a CIO, a CISO actually is, as well as how to do a risk profile. We tend to be too narrow focused on our risk profiling. And if you come to the Pensacola F4, right, room at 4 o'clock on Friday, Mike and I will teach you the basics of how to do this. And it's not hard.
No.
And then we're also going to evaluate ConnectWise conference and say, how are they doing?
They save the best for last. We're in the last time slot on the last day. We're going to have a lot of fun with this.
I know. I thought I should just bring in a couple of bottles of whiskey or something.
Shots. So, there you go.
Oh man, every time Adam makes a social faux pas, do a shot. You'll be drunk by the end. Hey Mike, it was great having you on the podcast. I look forward to seeing you at the event at IT Nation. And for all of you listening, come check us out. The title is VCISO skills using SWOT sessions to create customer risk profiles. A mouthful. 4 o'clock Friday. It'll be entertaining. It'll be fun. It'll be engaging. A great way to end your week. So we'll see you all there.
And I think you're going to be in booth 422 out on the.
I'm going to be in booth 422. Come get the new unicorn shirt.
There we go.
Augmented reality, coolest experience ever. We will also be giving away our white glove onboarding, $2,500 for people at the event. So the only time we ever do this is at events.
Didn't I hear something about an Oculus 3 also on the block?
There's also going to be an Oculus 3 giveaway. Hey, I figure we're augmented reality t-shirts.
And there you go.
We'll do Oculus, which is the Oculus 3 is all about augmented reality. You can use I was told the other day you can build Minecraft using it in your front yard.
Nice.
So
just watch out for Slenderman.
All right, we'll see you all later.
Take care, all.